This is a video about some basic factorization of algebraic expressions. So let's just talk about what a highest common factor is. So obviously we're talking about two terms or more than two terms, and we're trying to find something that a factor they have in common, so a number that goes into it, that is the highest. So let's talk about numbers of 2 and 6. Okay, factors of 2, 1 and 2 only. Factors of 6, 1, 2, 3 and 6. So what's the one they have in common? 2, and it's the highest, so the highest common factor. Let's talk about factors of 12. Factors of 12, and let's go 6. All right, what's the highest common factor that they have between 6 and 12? Well, we've gone through the factors of 6. Let's go through the factors of 12. 1, 2, 3, 6 is there. Don't forget 4 is in there as well, and 12. But the highest common factor that they have happens to be 6. Okay, now let's talk about A. A squared, and let's talk about AB. Okay, two terms. What's the highest common factor? Well, let's look at the breakdown of this. This is A times A, and this is A times B. So, both of them have an A in common, and that's the highest common factor, A. Now let's look at 6A squared B, and let's look at 8ABC. Okay, let's look at, first of all, the coefficients of each expression. 6 and 8. Highest common factor between 6 and 8. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 6, and we've got 1, 2, 4 and 8. So 2 is the highest common factor within the coefficient, so we write that. Let me look at the A's. Well, this is A times A, as written above, and this is A. So both of them have an A in there, but we can't go higher than that. That's the highest we can go. And then we look at B. Both have a B, so that's a common factor. And then this doesn't have a C, so they don't have that in common at all. It's only this term. So 2AB would be the highest common factor between these two expressions. Now let's pull it together with some brackets. Okay, so we're going to factorize an expression 5x plus 5y. Okay, well let's look at that. Both of the terms have a 5 in common. So we pull that out as the highest common factor. They don't have any other factors in common. So then we say to ourselves, well, okay, there are two terms here. What do we multiply the 5 by to give us this term? X. What do we multiply the 5 by to give us this term? Positive y. Now let's check by expanding, because factorizing is the opposite of expanding. So if we expand, we should get back to this. 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times y is 5y. Done. Okay, let's factorize 5x plus 15y. 5x plus 15y. Okay, so let's look at the coefficients first. 5 and 15. Well, the highest common factor between both those numbers is 5. They don't have a variable in common, so we just close the bracket. What do we multiply the 5 by to give us 5x? X. What do we multiply the 5 by to give us 15y? It's got to be 3y, positive 3y, and we check by expanding. 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 3y is 15y. Check. All right, so what about when we've got negatives? Well, if you've got negatives, it's good practice to pull out the negative factor. So if you've got negative 7xy and negative 14y, we're going to pull out not a positive factor, but a negative factor. So we'll pull out negative 7 because negative 7 is the highest common factor between our coefficients. Now we look at the pronumerals. Well, this has an x and a y, this has a y. So y is the highest common factor there. What do we multiply negative 7y by to give negative 7xy? X. What do we multiply negative 7y by to give negative 14y? It's positive 2. Now we just check by expanding. Let's check. Negative 7y is negative 7xy, apologies. And negative 7y multiplied by 2 is negative 14y. Check. Pretty much that's all you need to know about basic factorizing.